All right, all right. Listen, let's get into this course. I want you guys to know that this is like my third recording of this curriculum. The first time I recorded it, for some reason, the information did not save. Okay, yeah, it turned out so that whole hour's worth is actually over an hour worth of information didn't um didn't record. Okay, so go ahead and gong me. Yeah, so I'm having to record it all over again. So just bear with me. The Here we go. So the first thing we started with, and let me tell you, I can tell you why it didn't work. I was trying to add the recording, but I was doing it in the Zoom platform, and for some reason, it's just not as effective in the Zoom platform. I use Zoom because there is a summary that's normally prepared by the artificial intelligence, and it helps with just you guys understanding the curriculum and being able to follow it because all of you are busy. So you can use the summary as highlight. It'll help you. Let me get my book. I'm gonna need it. I believe I can't do class without my resource. But anyway, I thought I was gonna be able to use that recording, prior recording. Turns out I wasn't able to use it because the sound was so distorted, and you know, the video created even more of a problem. So that's I'm gonna do it from a different platform. I'm gonna follow the formula that we had from. All right, so here we go. So I said all that to say I apologize that your product didn't get to you sooner, but it's because I've actually recorded this twice, and unsuccessful both times. All righty. So here we go. The first thing I want to talk to you about is making sure that you're using that strategy of registering uh, as a vendor for the state, not just the state that you're in, but the variation of states that I listed in the book. You want to register with them, those specifically, firstly, because they make it easy for you to register in those states. Secondly, because it provides procurement opportunity for you that wouldn't ordinarily be available. And thirdly, because it broadens your network. And I'm going to tell you, the larger your network, um, the more possibility you have of increasing your net worth. You see, when you increase your net worth, you affiliate yourself with people outside of your sphere, people who can pull you into arenas that you would not have had an opportunity to enter. They're your segue, and you are theirs. And so you benefit. It's a mutual beneficial circumstance and situation that you get involved in. They may not necessarily be friends, but they will be associates that attach you to a broader network of individuals, which will inevitably inevitably increase your net worth. Okay, so but you also going to benefit from those procurement opportunities, and I want to make sure that you understand, even if your profile shows one type of code in terms of the North American industry code, that's okay, because we can always amend your profile in that vendor registration to show additional codes. If you see a procurement and you know that your company is proficient in that area and can service that particular contract well, then you need to go ahead and modify your profile by adding that code and then applying for or making a bid for or submitting your documentation regarding that procurement opportunity. Okay, so those are things that I wanted to mention to you. Now we're going to go on and talk about the standard of practice for financial procedures in your company. And here's why we want to talk about it. And we're going to be coming from chapter 12. Now, chapter 12 has been expanded. Okay, in your book, chapter 12 has been expanded. So now what you see in your physical book and what you're going to see in the next modified version of the book is going to blow you away, because everything that we've been covering in the class, we're going to add that to the modified edition of the book. But check this out. The information that we're going to be teaching in the class is going to be, so I had to start at a certain point because a lot of you were just starting your business. Okay, But there is a management services course that I told all of you, and it's also included in the language in the book regarding the syllabus. There's a management service course that I offer as well, and that is for those who are advanced. And what I mean by being advanced, you've established your corporation. You've now set up all of your operating procedures. You've got your vendor registration together. You've joined the small business services. That's not the name of it. There's another small business development center. You've joined that. You're now taking advantage of those opportunities. You're going out to the different things that they're hosting, and you're rubbing elbows with other people, and you're also ingesting this information that you need to build your portfolio, even in your own mind, your mental portfolio, in terms of increasing and growth and you want lateral growth as well. Okay, so all of this you're doing. You're also setting yourself up with the withholding tax system. You're doing all of that. You're reporting your business privilege tax. All of that you're doing that. You're also setting up your accounts, making sure that your bank accounts and your escrow accounts, your operating accounts, everything is set up the way it needs to be. And you have also stepped into setting up your business credit, because now you have a digital profile, and it's going to make it easier for you to be electronically validated as in terms of credibility. So now you're in chapter 21, you find yourself setting up all of your credit. And you notice I use that as the very last chapter in the book. There's a reason for that, because I want to make sure that everything else that you've done along the way, including setting yourself up to take advantage of everything that the Secretary of State of your state offers, we do all of that so that when it's time for you to apply for credit under your corporate name, you have visibility. Yeah, you've got electronic and digital visibility, and so it's going to make it easier for systems to find you, for systems to get you approved, to get you started with your lines of credit. Okay, and then also you would have, when you got to this point, you would have already prepared your AR, you would have prepared your general ledger. At this point, you're operating from your general ledger, you're operating from your AR, you're entering AR every time you get a new client. And if you're not doing that, let me explain that to you again. That AR report, you are adding that, or should be adding that, every time you get a new project, a new client, a new assignment. You put that into your AR. And I want to make sure that you're doing that, because a lot of you, it's like you're trying to make the general ledger serve as the AR. They're two different things. The AR helps you to keep up with your accounts receivable, with all of your different accounts. And you create a tab for every client that you have, for every account that you have, and for every service that you provide. And for instance, in abstracting, we have a variation of clients. We do title abstracts, and we do closings and title policies and such. We have different clients. So we create a tab for each client. Okay. And in that tab, every time that client places an order with us for an abstract or a title, we put that in that particular client's tab, and we list the county that the property's in, the client, the borrower's name, all of that information specific to that client and the order that they place with us. Okay. If you offer a service, then in that case, if you offer a variation of service in your AR report, you'll have a tab for each service that you provide. So you may do strategic planning or event planning. Those are two different things. You have a different tab for both of those. And each time you get someone for an event, then you list that name there. If you are in a bills bonding company, okay, your AR, and I know now that one is almost like abstracting. In abstracting, we can receive up to 50, 60, 70, 100 orders a day. Bills bonding is similar. You may get, I don't know how many bills bonds in one day, a multitude. Okay, that's the service that you provide. So in your AR, you're going to have somebody doing your data entry to enter those each time. The client would be the individual that you're providing the bond for. You have their name there, whatever court it is that they're going to be subject to, that would go there. Your address information of how you reach them, the cost of the bond, the amount that you have provided versus the amount of the entire, the total, the amount in totality. All of that is there. The court date, that's on there too. All of that information is on there. The date that they're supposed to pay you, the amount that they pay you, the balance that's supposed to be paid, all of that goes into your AR. Here's why. Your AR is going to calculate for you and is going to keep a summary for you as to the amount of revenue that you're bringing in. Now, I know you have the general ledger and you think the general ledger is doing that, but it's not showing each customer and the clientele. Why do you need that AR? You just decided that you want to bid on a contract that the state has. The state now, because they've got privatized prisons, they want to crack down on certain things. And so they're going to invite bail bondsmen throughout the state. And they want you to participate in a procurement that they've got going. Okay. All right. So you're already registered as a vendor with the state. Thought you'd never be involved with it, but this is something that's right up your alley. Okay. Or you are a designer, strategist, or an event planner, and you realize that, oh wait, the state has a procurement for me. I want to do this particular. They've got a big event that's coming up, and we could host this event. We could help to put this together. Maybe they need a variation of individuals to make this whole thing happen, and you can be a part of that. They're going to want to know your clientele, right? Your AR shows everybody you've dealt with. Or you may want to go to the bank. You may want to, you're a nonprofit, but you've got a for-profit holding company. All right. You want to go to the bank. You want to negotiate something for some housing. You own the real estate, but now you want to get the financing to fix it up. All right. They're going to want to know your AR. How much money are you making? What does your clientele look like? Yeah. How do I deem you viable? That AR has a list of all of your individuals that you deal with. And when you print up the AR, you don't have to give them the private information of those individuals. When you print that AR, you can just print it with the number of clients, the dates that they order, and the dollar amounts on there. And you can leave their names out when you go to print the summary. Yeah. But it shows a number and the dollar amount, and it's accurate. Yeah, it's accurate. So if you ever have to provide your bank statements for your company's bank statements for any deals that you're working, it's going to correlate with your bank statements. They normally want your AR, your accounts receivable, and your bank statements for pretty much any transaction that you seek to get involved in, even if you want to lease a building. So that's why you want to have that. It makes it so much easier for you, and you don't have to go through as much, because once they see you have that, they don't really ask any questions about anything else. Yeah. Especially if you're dealing with a small business association. It's so much easier now to get financing with them. They just ask you for your AR. They ask you for your banking information. And then they make sure that all of your company addresses correlate with what they're showing in terms of Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Business. Okay. All right. So that's why it's important that you do that AR. And so if you haven't set up your AR, you need to get with me, send me a text, send me an email, let me know so I can create a course to remind you of how you prepare that AR. It's very important that you do that. Okay. All right. If I was in Zoom, I could just pull it up and share it with you right now, but I'm on a different platform. So it'll be difficult for me to pull that up and show it to you right now. But I do want you to make sure that you get your AR set up. That's in addition to your general ledger. This seems like a bunch of busy work, but I'm telling you, it's setting you up so that you can succeed when you get ready to walk in the doors to do anything that you need to do. Your financial stuff is set. And that takes us to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. When you use a standard of practice for financial management in your company, you want to make sure that you are operating in a procedure for your investments. So we talked about tax certificates. And if you have not looked at, you want to always take a look at the podcast. You saw the little image of the podcast at the beginning of this video. I include that image there. If you guys are not taking advantage of the podcast, shame on you. No, shame off you. No shame. The devil is a liar. We rebuke shame. But listen, I want you to listen to that podcast. Why? Firstly, because almost every day you're going to see new episodes, and those episodes have to do with what I'm teaching you in the class. And see, the more you hear this, because a lot of you already know this, but the more you hear it, the more comfortable you become with moving into the application of what it is that you're hearing. Okay. Yeah. You become more adept and prepared to move into the actual application. Right now, it's going into your neocortex as information, but pretty soon your limbic system is going to want to participate in all of this stuff that you're learning. And so you're going to get involved with trial and error and actually doing these things and going through the steps. They really don't take that long. It's a matter of stepping into it and starting them and doing them. And most of you have assistants. You have people that are already working for you, and you can put them on these tasks. If somebody's already handled your books for you, they can handle setting up that general ledger and setting up your AR, and they can handle overseeing somebody that's data entry to enter all of your AR. And it's going to make a world of a difference for you and for your clients. So you're making close to $1 million a year. But when you start seeing that AR and it's thick like a book like this, you walk into the bank, they're not asking you, they're going to ask you for your financials, yeah. But it's a lot of stuff they won't ask you for, because they're going to take a look at your AR and know that you're making money. See, some people say, well, they treat black people this way and that way because it's because we don't walk in the door with the stuff that they're looking for. Okay, they're not always going to ask you for your accounts receivable, because if you know, right? But if you don't know, they're going to ask you for all this other stuff, and they're never going to mention your accounts receivable. Whereas when they're asking you for a stack of stuff to verify, you can just say, I got my AR. Would you like that? Firstly, they're going to be shocked that you have an AR. That's the first thing. Second thing is, it's going to make it so much easier for them to be able to verify the things that they need to verify. Yeah, it makes it so much easier for them to get you approved. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about because I've done it before. Yeah, several times. And so I was listening to someone, they said to me, well, I want you to know how they treat, a black woman when they go into and I thought to myself, it's because they're looking at you. Perception is everything. They're looking at you and what you brought in the door. And if they automatically assume that you may not know what it is that you're doing. But when you start walking in the door with the general ledger, with your AR, accounts receivables report, they know you know what you're doing. They know you're not the average mom and pop. Yeah. See, you're thinking in your mind, well, I'm making close to $1 million. They know I'm no. They know that you know what you're doing when you walk in the door of a financial institution with financial documents, not just your profit and loss statement, not just your financial statements, but all of the things that go with understanding financial standards of procedures. Okay. All right. So when we talk about standard operating procedures, when it comes to your financials, we're going to look at your investments. That's specifically what we're talking about today. And we're going to start with tax certificates. Okay. So I'm going to show this video of tax certificates to give you an understanding of what we're talking about. And then I'm going to move into teaching you how you can use these. You can build your financial portfolio so well with these. Firstly, when you purchase tax certificates, what you're doing is you are paying somebody's delinquent taxes. All right. So the revenue commissioner will have a list of delinquent taxes. They'll have a list of tax certificates that are available. When they provide you with tax certificate information, they're saying to you, this owner of property is behind on their property taxes. Now, to prevent foreclosing on them, what the county wants to do is solicit someone to purchase these tax certificates, and that will pay for that person's taxes. What's in it for you? Well, I'll tell you what's in it for you. Most counties in Alabama pay anywhere from 12 to 16%. Okay. So let's say you pay for the tax certificate, but then the owner comes back and they pay their taxes maybe the next year. They have 3 years to redeem their property from delinquent taxes and the repercussions. Okay. Let's say in the second year, they come and they pay their tax and they redeem the property. All right. So what's in it for you? Well, you get back the amount of money that you used to purchase the tax certificate plus the interest. Yes, you do. Yes. But let's say they never pay their taxes. What happens then? Well, guess what? They issue you a purchase certificate after the redemption period of 3 years has passed. And then at the end of a few months after you've received that purchase certificate, you can go into the judge of probate's office. That's where the mortgages and deeds are recorded in Alabama. But in variation of states, you go into the office where the mortgages and deeds are recorded, whatever the name may be. In Tennessee, it may be the Register of the Deeds office. In Carolina, it might be the clerk of courts. In Georgia, it might be the clerk of superior courts. It just depends on where you go. In Florida, it may be the circuit court. But you go to that office where the mortgages and deeds are recorded. You take that purchase certificate that you've received from the tax office, from the tax commissioner's office, and they will take that purchase certificate and translate it into a quitclaim deed. Now, a quitclaim deed conveys the title, but it does not say whether or not the title is warranted. So they don't know anything about the title. They don't know if somebody else had the right to foreclose on it. They don't know if there are any claims on it. All they know is you paid for this person's taxes. They forfeited their right to own this property. You now own this property from the taxes. Immediately, you need to put that company under a holding, that property under a holding company, and I'll show you how to do that. And you'll also need to have that title run immediately, because you need to see what other claims are on the property, what other liens and judgments are on the property, so you know what it is that you own. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Okay. So I want you all to understand that. You can really benefit. Now, if there's a mortgage company involved, chances are the mortgage company is just going to pay the taxes. But sometimes you've got companies that are involved that are owner finance. Yeah. And in those cases, they don't always pay the taxes, which means that you now own the property. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. And for company of properties that are paid in full, that's a shoe-in right there. That is definitely your property. Okay. But always, when you're dealing with tax certificates, understand that that is an excellent investment. If for nothing else, you get your money back that you invested, plus you get the interest. That's interest that you've gained. Yeah. So you can take that interest and you can put that somewhere else. Yeah. And then you can reinvest the money again that you were working with and do the same thing and continue to accrue interest. It is a powerful way to earn revenue, powerful way to build revenue that you can retain. Yes. And then invest in other projects like mutual bonds. All right. So I'm going to let you and see the standard of practice that you need to have. It's when you receive a certain amount of money into your corporation, you need to have a practice so that a certain percentage of what you're receiving goes into your investment portfolio right away for you to be able to invest. Okay. All right. So real quick, we're going to click on this video and let you take a look at tax certificates so you understand a little bit about it. Why am I showing you this? Because you guys are constantly in business and you're earning cash, even when you're starting out. And you say, well, I can't afford to do that. Well, you just made $1,700 on an event, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Or you just provided a service for a client and it was $1,200. Yeah. You can take a portion of that and begin to put it in a fund. I suggest 10%. So some people give 10%. And so I call it 10 plus 10 because I acquiesce to the giving of 10%. And then I also believe that you should take 10% to reinvest into your company. But you should also have a 10% that you are investing to generate revenue, so that not just you working or having someone work for you or your company work for you, but also having money working for you. Okay. And this is a simple way to do it. It's more of a guaranteed way to do it, if that makes sense. So let me show you this quick video. Here we go.
By real property without buying the house? Listen up. I'm talking about tax lien certificates, and I'll break it down in under 3 minutes with a simple timeline. Hook first. In Alabama, Section 40-10-187 of the Alabama Code authorizes the county to auction or sell tax liens when property taxes go unpaid. Instead of the state taking the property, investors step in, pay the delinquent taxes, and receive a tax lien certificate, property description, tax amount, penalties, interest, and the auction set rate. You get the right to collect. If the owner redeems, you earn interest. If not, you may move toward ownership after the redemption period. Timeline next. 5 steps. 1. Tax delinquency notice. Year 0. Owner misses the tax deadline. The county posts a delinquency notice and prepares a lien sale, usually 6 to 12 months after the missed payment. Your move. Track county notices and auction calendars. 1. Tax lien auction or sale. Year 0. The Revenue Tax Commissioner or tax collector runs a public auction, sometimes in person, often online. You bid, paying a premium or bidding the interest rate down, depending on the rules. Win the bid, pay the taxes, get the certificate. In Alabama, record it with the probate court. 1. Redemption period begins. Years 1 to 3. The owner has a statutory window to repay taxes, interest, and penalties. Your role: hold the certificate and wait. In Alabama, it's 3 years from the sale date. 1. Interest accrual and monitoring. Ongoing. You accrue interest annually. Alabama allows up to 12% per year. Stay organized, monitor the property, keep receipts, and stay in touch with the tax office. 1. Redemption or foreclosure. Year 3 plus. If redeemed, you collect principal plus interest. If not, you can request a tax deed from the probate court in Alabama and potentially take ownership. State-by-state highlights: Florida, online auctions, 2-year redemption. Illinois, interest is bid down, about 2.5 years to redeem. Arizona, rate bids down from 16%, 3 years. New Jersey, fixed 18%, foreclosure possible after 2 years. This video is the intellectual property of Jacqueline Enterprise, Inc. For more details to help you understand title abstracting and tax deeds, go to Amazon.com today and order several copies of Title Abstracting Made Simple.
All right, so now that you understand more about tax certificates, we're going to keep talking about that more and more and more and more. That's not the only video that you will find in the podcast. So if you've not taken a look at that podcast, I want you to start to watch that podcast quite often, because I know you guys are serious about what it is you want to do. Constantly benefits you. Now, the information is not just broad information. It's information as it pertains to the book. See, these videos are being scripted right out of this book. Yeah, being scripted right out of these books. And the tax certifications are, of course, information that I've already written for the new edition, for the updated edition. So again, it's coming from the script that's in the book, either this book or the new edition that's going to be coming out soon, that will be entitled Management Services. Management Services is going to have a lot of this in it, but it's going to have more hands-on application of how now to run this company in such a way that it's prospering, it's constantly growing. It's going to challenge you to new levels of growth, new levels of latitude. Yeah, that's what the Management Services is all about, and making sure that you're applying everything that you're being taught and understanding the growth potential in it all. So make sure that you listen to the podcast. And the first video on there is going to remain the same because it's actually introducing the course. So if you get to the first video, you go, no, this is the same stuff. No, it's not. The first video is just the same. But there are other additions, there are other recordings that are in there, other sessions that are in there. I even put some of these teaching sessions in there as well, because I want you to have this stuff readily available to you and just let it run constantly, so that you're hearing it, is going into your subconscious, and those things that can be a lot of the things you've already done, but some of the things you haven't done yet, and you can benefit from them. And that's what it's all about, your consistent growth. Okay. All right. So when we talk about a standard of practice regarding your finances, we already talked about the AR. And so we talked about leveraging corporate liquidity, but you can leverage your corporate liquidity by investing in tax certificates. That's a way to diversify and create an income stream for you. Yeah. And then you can leverage your corporate liquidity through bonds. Okay, there are a variation of bonds, and we've talked about these before. And if you've been watching the podcast, you know that there are several videos that are in there, specifically one that's very informative. It's about 9 minutes long, and we're going to listen to that in this session. What you're doing is you're creating revenue that's going to be available for you to reinvest. Yes, to create sustainable growth for your company. So it's not going to touch any of your earnings. You're going to get to a point that you're going to be purchasing so many tax certificates and receiving so much interest coming back from those tax certificates and receiving your initial investment back that you'll have a constant pool that you can reinvest. Now you're building up to being able to invest in bonds. Okay. Yeah. And you want to make sure that inside of your financial standard of operations that you leave room or opportunity for a structured employee assistance program. Now you want to do that because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so with you having these additional revenues coming in from these investment resources, what you're doing is you're building up a portfolio. You don't want to reinvest everything back into the company. That's why we talk about a percentage. In chapter 12, we talk about a budget. We talk about a breakdown of having a certain percentage that you are investing into certain parameters in your company, including reinvesting back into the operations of your company, investing to diversify and increase your income streams, giving to the public to worthy situations, worthy opportunities, forgive me, something like the hospital, the library, when we get into these bonds, you're going to see that there is a way to invest in your state and benefit them as well as benefit yourself. But so you want to have a percentage structure set up in your budget. And we talk about that in the book. So you have a percentage that goes to accounts payable, operations, giving back to the community, investing, to create an income stream. And then an amount that you're going to keep in your account for retained earnings. These don't have to be exorbitant amounts. Even in purchasing tax certificates, you can start with, do you know, in some cases, people move away out of a city and they just stop paying the property taxes, and they can be a small amount, $500, $600, $300. Your company can pay those on that property consistently. And then after 3 years, if they don't pay it, you get a purchase certificate. And then months after that, you can get a quitclaim deed for that property. You now own it. Now it's your job. Matter of fact, I suggest getting the title completed before you even get to that point. After you pay the taxes on the property and they issue you a purchase certificate, that's after the people have passed the redemption period. Go ahead and have a title search done on it. That way you know what mortgages and liens are on that property, because if you don't know, they'll foreclose on the property. So yes, but I can tell you a trick though. Even if there are liens on the property, once you get that quitclaim deed, you can add it to your net worth. You can add it to your financial portfolio. Yeah. And for that time frame that you own it, it can increase your company's net worth. And that can be invaluable when you have a building project going, or you have a growth project going, and you are negotiating with a lender for funds, or you are dealing with a venture capitalist, and they see that you've got real estate in your portfolio, or huge ticket items in your portfolio. It makes a difference in how they view your net worth. Even if the property has a mortgage on it, you may decide, we can pay this mortgage. We're going to keep this property, or we can rent this property out and pay the mortgage that way. See, what you're doing is you're increasing your company's net worth. That's important. It's as important as it is to increase your company's network. Okay. All right. So when you're doing your AR, you want to make sure that you invoice anybody for any services that you've provided within 48 hours of the service. You can get so busy and have so many until it becomes difficult, but you need to get them invoiced within 48 hours of that service. Okay. So if you have to get software that's going to make that run faster for you, then you need to do that. Or if you just need to get a template that you can have available to click a couple of buttons and get it out, then you need to do that. When you start dealing with standard of payment, now if you're in the abstracting business, I'm going to say net 15. That means that client needs to pay you within 15 days. You need to have payment within 15 days. So the term would be net 15. In some cases, for some companies, it could be net 30, but no more than that. So on all of your invoices, it needs to show net 15 days payment terms net 15 or net 30. That means that they've got to pay you within that time frame. You're looking for that payment, or they need to be sending out the check within that time frame. You want to monitor your AR report. Now, we just talked about how important it is to have the AR. Monitor it. Okay, that means you create a AR report every so often. Okay, and then every 60 days, you want to reach out to people who are overdue. Get your highest individual in your company, your CFO. If you're the CFO, be the CFO and reach out to them, tap them on the shoulder and let them know that that account is aging. It's 60 days and you're about to escalate it into collections. Okay. You can send out courtesy reminders at 30 days. In the abstracting business, there is no 30 days. I need to have my money within 15 days or somewhere along there, 20 days, no more than 25 days. Yeah. Then you send out a formal notice at 45 days, and collections and legal review goes into effect if it's been 90 days. Why? Because you need to get those funds in so that you can invest some of them to create an income stream for you so that you have revenue working for you while you are building your company and working your company as well. So we've already talked about investing in tax certificates because that's an easy, simple way for you to get started. Okay. Now, I like day trading as well as the next person. If you're a new business, you know, I'm not a financial individual. I'm not licensed for that. I'm not going to tell you to get into day trading. Now, that'd be something that you have to investigate on your own. You might want to do it as an individual rather than your company. These things I'm suggesting are things that you can do as a corporation. You can get that tax certificate in your corporate name. And I suggest you get it in your corporate name. So when it's time to get the quitclaim deed, it will be placed into your corporate name. I'm helping you build revenue and assets, tangible assets, long-term assets in your company. Okay. All right. So now we're talking about leveraging bonds. Talked about tax certificates. All of this is a way to build your revenue. Quickly, with leveraging bonds, okay, there are variation of bonds. You've got corporate bonds, all right? And what I mean by that, Apple Corporation offers a corporate bond. They're not the only one. Several companies do. They've got one that's probably at 5.25 and it matures in 2 years. Okay. Some of these bonds will actually offer compound interest. Some corporate bonds actually offer compounding interest. So they're not only going to pay you, okay, but they're going to pay you compounded interest. Now, when you find that, that's a gold mine. So that by the time the bond matures, you not only gain interest, but the interest has compounded. Okay. And if you want to know more about compounding interest, I tell you the gem that gives you quite a bit of information on it. And it's on page 62 and page 63. And bam, you got it. Homeownership, pre-planning, and much, much more. This is purchase power for business owners. And so on those pages, on page 62, 63, 64, 65, it gives you an explanation of compounded interest, and then it explains to you how it's calculated and how you can understand how to calculate it. If you want a better demonstration of how interest compounds and grows, go to page 66 in that same book. And it will walk you all the way through from page 66 through page 70. So if you go from page 62 to page 70, if you want to understand about how interest compounds and how you can calculate it. If someone says to you, we got a corporate bond at 5.25, it matures in 24 months and it's compounded interest, then you can look and see in here how you can calculate that compounded interest. It's going to be compounded annually. Some bank accounts compound daily. That's the way it used to be all the time when I was younger. That is a rarity these days. All right. Then you've got municipal bonds. A lot of municipal bonds offer a tax advantage because it's going to be for your local municipality, you know, for your county, your city, or for your state. There's a project that they've got working, something that they need to get done, and they need your funds to help them to get it done. You understand what I'm saying? And so they will provide you with a certificate that of a bond that states that they're going to pay you a certain amount in terms of your return. They're going to give that back to you over a period of time. Why are they doing that? Because when you buy a municipal bond, you are literally loaning money to the state. You're loaning money to the state or to the county or to the city for some type of major project that they have going on. Okay. Yeah. So this is a wonderful way for you to get involved financially with increasing your income stream. Yeah, your financial income stream. And you can do that with investing. You can leverage what you have that you get from tax certificates and interest and things that come in. You can leverage that by investing in bonds. Okay. Then you've got treasury bonds. Now, treasury bonds, there's less risk involved because they mature over a longer period of time. They're still beneficial, but they just take longer to mature. Now, there is a laddering system that you can use when it comes to holding accounts, when it comes to municipal bonds. There's a leverage that you can use. And I'm not going to have the time to teach you about holding accounts here. I have taught it before, and it's also in the recordings that we have in the podcast. I will have to teach that in I've taught it before, but I don't mind teaching it again. I'll keep teaching this until we finally understand how to utilize the trust companies and all of the stuff that's being made available, all the information that's being made available to us. It's a lot of information, but it's not just for the sake of information. It's for the sake of you guys actually applying all of this. It can be really beneficial if you apply it. I know sometimes people get information just for the sake of information, but you can really benefit from this if you start to apply it, and you have to take the first step in order to do it. So as we talk about the municipal bonds, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that, like with treasury bonds, again, they're safe and they're backed by the government. Typically it's a 10-year maturity. So you're waiting 10 years before it actually matures. But now for state municipal bonds, you can just go to Alabama state bonds. And let me tell you, Alabama has got some beneficial bonds that are available. A lot of bond series that are available for the state and for the local government. Okay. But in whatever state you're in, check out that state's municipal bonds, local municipalities and statewide. That is an excellent way, because most time when you do that, they will render you tax-free. You will not have to pay state taxes. Yeah. And in some cases with local municipalities, they create a way for you to be exempt from certain taxes if you invest in purchasing municipal bonds. Municipal means to do with your local or state government. Okay. U.S. Treasury bonds would be, of course, the U.S. government. Okay. And again, the corporate bonds normally mature in a shorter period of time, and you can just look up corporate bonds. Now, I know Apple Inc. has a 2026 bond, and every year they come up with a different series of bonds. I want to talk to you about bond laddering. Let me see how much time I have. I may not have time to do that because I want you to have time to watch the video. Just real quick. Bond laddering would be you starting with the individual. Okay, give you an example. Treasury bills can be as their maturity can mature as in as little as 6 months. That's a treasury bill. Now that's going to require a larger amount of money. You're talking about maybe $100,000 for treasury bills, but some of you can do that. Some of you can do it. Some of you can start out with $200,000. If you're going to do that, you want to do it with a 6-month treasury bill. You can probably get that at about 5.5%. Okay, that's how you would start. Okay, now quickly, let me say this to you. In some cases, you can have $100,000 and then borrow another $100,000 at maybe 2%, 2.5% interest. Okay, very low interest. And then you can, of course, invest it at a much higher yield. Okay. All right. So you got 100,000, you borrow. It's so easy when you walk into the bank and you say, I'm going to give you guys this $100,000 cash as collateral. I want to borrow another $100,000. You walk away from the bank with $200,000. The amount that you borrow, 2%, 2.5%. Okay. And then you go and you invest that. You invest that and you're going to do it in laddering. Ladder, as in ladder, Ladder. Okay. Firstly, you're going to invest in a 6-month treasury bill. All right, maybe 5.5%. You only spent 2%, 2.5% interest in borrowing the money. Okay, and then you're going to invest. That was 6 months. Then after that, you're going to take that and all the interest and invest it in a 12-month treasury note. A 12-month treasury note. Just giving you an idea. That's somewhere around 5.5 as well in terms of interest. Then you're going to take that and you're going to invest it in a 2-year corporate bond. All right, that's got a higher yield. The maturity date will be somewhere around 2 years, 3 years. Then what you walk away with is an exorbitant amount of interest that you would have received annually. Yeah, annually for those investments. Okay, and you only would have had to pay out, because we're dealing with the 2%, 2.5%. So you only would have had to pay out maybe $2,500 in interest. And the rest of that interest that you would have gained would be your profit. That just gives you a general idea of laddering. I know that was quick, but I am not a licensed financial individual, and I am in no way trying to give you financial advice except for to show you how to build your corporate portfolio and set up some type of standard of procedures for your investment, so that you're not just getting money in, but you're not doing anything with it. It's not growing. You're not creating an environment for that money to grow so your company can grow. So I'm just creating a standard operating procedure for you in terms of your as you receive your finances, what you're doing with them. So I'm covering everything, AR and everything. I am not licensed to give any kind of financial advice. Just talking to you about EG Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for new business owners. Okay, so let's take a look at this video that has to do with municipal bonds.
Often feels like a turbulent ocean. It can offer thrilling rides to incredible highs, but it also carries the constant threat of sudden, stomach-churning drops. If you've ever wondered how investors seeking solid returns backed by real property without buying the house, listen up.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
There is another path worth exploring. Many people overlook municipal bonds, often seeing them as too complex or perhaps too dull compared to the exciting world of equities. Yet, in a financial landscape where volatility is the norm, the steady nature of these investments provides a welcome contrast. They offer a way to preserve the money you have worked so hard to earn, all while generating a consistent stream of income. The potential for tax advantages adds another powerful layer of appeal. Today, on October 19th, 2025, with market uncertainties always looming on the horizon, the conservative nature of municipal bonds deserves a closer look. They are not designed for rapid, speculative growth. Instead, they serve a different, equally important purpose: capital preservation and dependable income. Stocks might be the engine of your financial vehicle, pushing for high-speed growth. But municipal bonds can be the sturdy chassis and reliable suspension system. They absorb the bumps in the road, providing stability and allowing you to move forward with a greater sense of security. The peace of mind that comes from a predictable income stream, shielded from market chaos, is a valuable asset in itself. The primary allure for many investors is the unique tax treatment municipal bonds receive. The interest income you earn is often exempt from federal income taxes. Depending on where you live and the specific bond you purchase, it might also be free from state taxes and local taxes. This triple tax-free potential can significantly boost your after-tax return, especially if you are in a higher income tax bracket. A 4% return on a municipal bond could be equivalent to a 6% return, or even 7%, depending on your tax situation. This makes them a highly efficient tool for generating income. Understanding this benefit is crucial to appreciating the true value of municipal bonds in a diversified portfolio. While the stated interest rate, or coupon, might seem lower than what a corporate bond offers, the tax savings can easily close that gap and even push the muni's effective yield higher. It is a quiet advantage, one that doesn't make headlines, but steadily works to your benefit over time. For those in or nearing retirement, or anyone who values a predictable cash flow without the drama of daily market swings, municipal bonds represent a cornerstone of a sound financial strategy, offering a calm harbor in a stormy economic sea. So, what exactly is a municipal bond? At its core, it is a simple loan. When you buy a municipal bond, you are lending money to a state or local government entity. These are not private corporations, but public bodies working to fund essential community projects. Roads, public schools, clean water, local hospital munis finance these projects. Munis for short. The government promises to repay the principal on a set maturity date. The issuers are government and public purpose entities that form our community's backbone. States, cities, counties, towns. Special purpose districts also issue munis. School districts, water authorities, airport authorities, public utility commissions, public universities, nonprofit hospitals. By buying bonds, you help develop and maintain public infrastructure. In return, the issuer pays interest, a regular income, usually twice a year. 3 key terms to know. Coupon price yield. The coupon is the fixed annual interest rate set at issuance. Example, $5,000 at 4% pays $200 a year. Bonds trade on a secondary market, so prices fluctuate. High demand. Price rises above face value. Low demand. Price falls. Yield measures your total effective return, considering the price you paid, the coupon payments you will receive, and the time remaining until maturity. 2 main muni categories: general obligation, or GO, bonds, revenue bonds. GO bonds are backed by the issuer's full faith and credit. The issuer pledges all available resources. That includes the power to levy taxes. Example, a city issues a GO bond for a new public library. The city may raise property taxes if needed to pay interest and principal. Because of that guarantee, GO bonds are generally among the safest municipal bonds. While municipal bonds are known for their safety, they are not entirely without risk. The most significant risk is default risk. Default risk is the possibility the issuer will be unable to make interest or principal payments. While defaults are historically rare, especially for high-quality general obligation bonds, they can happen. A city facing severe financial distress, a revenue project that fails to generate enough income. Revenue bonds generally have higher default risk than GO bonds. Their repayment is tied to a single source of income, like tolls from a new bridge. If fewer cars use the bridge than projected, the revenue might not be sufficient to pay back bondholders. Another crucial risk is interest rate risk. This is the risk that the value of your bond will decrease if market interest rates rise. Imagine you own a bond paying a 3% coupon. If new bonds are issued at 4% coupons, your older, lower-paying bond becomes less attractive. To sell it before maturity, you'd likely have to offer it at a discount. The longer a bond's maturity, the more sensitive its price is to rate changes. A bond's price can change daily, even though its coupon payments stay fixed. This is market risk. Price changes over time. Bond value can fluctuate due to factors beyond interest rates. A downgrade in the issuer's credit rating, negative economic news, changes in tax laws. If you hold your individual bond until maturity, you will receive the full principal back. The risk of losing money from price changes primarily affects investors who need to sell before maturity. For new investors focused on preserving capital and steady income, a few simple tips can help. First, stick with high-quality bonds from issuers with strong credit ratings. Look for ratings of A or higher from agencies like Moody's or S&P. Second, consider building a bond ladder with different maturity dates. That strategy mitigates interest rate risk and provides a steady flow of maturing principal to reinvest. Finally, municipal bond funds or ETFs offer instant diversification and professional management. They hold a wide variety of bonds from different issuers. In summary, municipal bonds offer a compelling proposition for the cautious investor. They represent a calmer, more predictable alternative to the often frenzied world of stocks. By lending money to fund essential public works, you support community development and secure steady, reliable income for yourself. That income is often sheltered from federal taxes, sometimes sheltered from state taxes, and sometimes from local taxes as well, which can make the effective return notably more attractive. Choose between general obligation bonds or project-focused revenue bonds to match your risk tolerance. No investment is risk-free, but potential downsides can be managed. Default risk, interest rate risk, price risk. Manage them with prudent choices. Focus on high-quality issuers. Diversify your holdings and understand your time horizon. Munis aren't for getting rich quick. They are for wealth preservation and steady income, offering a foundation for more aggressive growth elsewhere. They add balance and stability to a portfolio. If you want less financial stress and better sleep at night, municipal bonds can be indispensable. They provide a quiet, consistent hum of income in the background of your financial life, working without constant attention or worry. They reflect a conservative, long-term approach that prioritizes principal safety and regular returns. In an unpredictable world, this financial anchor is both comforting and savvy. They make a smart, calm part of your financial plan. This video is the intellectual property of Jacqueline Enterprise Inc. For more details to help scale your corporate growth, visit Amazon.com and order Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for new businesses. Whether you're saving for retirement, funding an education, or seeking a more peaceful investment experience, municipal bonds are worthy of serious consideration as a cornerstone of financial well-being. They provide a clear path toward achieving your goals with confidence and calm.
Okay, so just to give you a reminder, as we're getting ready to close out, I got like 3 minutes, okay? When you talk about the GO bonds, the general obligation bonds, this type of municipal bond is a way for you to help when it comes to situations with the city or the state or the towns or school districts where they need to have certain projects completed for the sake of the community. And so what happens with a general obligation bond, for instance, we've got, what is it called? It's something like Alabama Educates. I'd have to pull my envelope out, and I don't have that kind of time. But you can invest in to some of the educational projects that are available in Alabama by purchasing a bond. And so when you do that, of course, they're going to give you back your funds at the time that the bond matures, but they also pay you the interest. Now, these type of bonds rarely have compounded interest involved, but it is a way for you to guarantee a certain amount of interest being paid to you from a credible source. Okay. And when we talk about revenue bonds, it's still a way for you to invest. Now, what you're doing is you're actually allowing them the opportunity to borrow from you. When you purchase these bond certificates, they are borrowing funds from you. Yeah. Yeah. And what that does, again, is it creates a revenue for you that's going to be coming in. Now, the difference between the general obligation bonds and the revenue bonds is that when you're dealing with revenue bonds, it does have to do with helping with different projects, but it's not going to necessarily be anything that has to do with public facilities. Okay, it may have something to do with, like, let's say a transportation authority wants to issue a bond because they need to build a toll road. Okay, so it's not necessarily for the community. It's for that road, that toll road. Okay, and it's going to pay for they're going to benefit because they're going to generate revenue from the toll road when they complete it. Whereas general bonds are normally for civic things that have to do with the community. So it's not necessarily an income producing project that they have, but it's more of a community civic related type of project that they have for the general obligation bond. The revenue bonds, they're going to generate revenue from it. They're going to build a toll road. They need to borrow money from you. They want you to buy municipal bonds. You loan them the money. so they can build the toll road so that they can create a long-term revenue for their state. That's a revenue bond. All right. Does that make sense? General obligation bond is them fulfilling their civic responsibility to build the community, to increase the growth of the community. Okay. All right. So, but those are both municipal bonds, just two different types. Okay. All right. So I'm going to end right here. I know I've gone over my time. I'm going to stop abruptly right here and say to you, thank you so much. Remember to watch the podcast.